We got a lot to talk about for this game, and this will probably be. I'm planning for the last Hurricane review to be in my room. It's just my computer's in here, so it's the easiest way to do it. But yeah, Carolina comes in, and honestly, this was an up and down game for me. A lot of the criticisms I had were kind of almost affirmed, I'd say, and I'll get into that in a minute. However, this was also one of a more encouraging win because of that, the fact that Carolina was able to come in and win. So it's a bit of a mixed bag for me, just personally, and a lot of the apprehensions I had going into this game. And then there might be more apprehensions afterward because of some post game news. But I think you know who Hurricane of the Game is going to be if you've been a fan of my channel for a long time. And I'm not going to reveal it now, but you know, it's an unwritten secret throughout this game. However, Carolina came in the first period was probably the first best period of the two games. I believe they went up 2-0 at the end of this period. And one of them was a full goal, but that happens. In the same way the Islanders got a fluke goal last game, Carolina gets a fluke goal tonight. That's the thing with goals that are a fluke. You got to take them when you get them, and you can't let them bury you when you're the victim of it. And so far, Carolina hasn't done either. So yeah, I believe they were up 2-0. I'm gonna take the score sheet because the way I watched the game was weird because I had hockey tonight, so I had to watch the game, pause it at overtime. I had the end of OT spoiled for me, and then I had to come back and watch 5 more minutes of hockey to basically a game I had already watched. So it's kind of weird because then I just played my own game. Um, okay, so they went up 2-0, 1-0 at the end of the first, which was a great period, and then 2-0 at the in the second. And honestly, the power play is always going to be a form of contention with Carolina. I think they've never been a team that can score on the power play since Rod Brindamore took over. I think that is if Rod Brindamore has a main weakness is he hasn't been able to figure out or find a coach who can figure out a power play for this team under his system. And I honestly felt like there was one power play they didn't score, but it was better than some of the power plays that they had scored, and they were getting the clean entries. And then there were times where the power play was complete ass. So take it what it is. Maybe the good thing is, I think the power play is getting better, and that's been especially in the postseason last season one of Carolina's greatest weaknesses. And yeah, but then the Islanders, and this there was a turning point in this game. And what kind of annoyed me at first was, and they fixed it in the third period. Carolina looked actually getting intimidating. Paul Martin came in and he hit Jordan Stahl from behind. Carolina was still only up 1-0, I think, at this point. And Islanders came in and they played chippy hockey. I wouldn't say dirty, but they definitely played on the line. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not blaming the Islanders for being wrong with that. I think, knock on wood, so far Carolina's just been the more skilled team, so they're more skilled. We're going to be more physical. And I think Carolina, as the third period went on, and obviously they won the game and everything, but there was a period there where Carolina, I honestly am going to say, got out coached. The Islanders were able to adjust to what Carolina was doing, cutting off, being able to pass to Brent Burns in the power play, tightening the game up more physically, intimidating players. And a lot of the stuff you could call was dirty and everything, but I mean, it's playoff hockey. And that's the kind of hockey I like to watch. I like to watch hockey where you hate the other team and whether you win or lose. Like I did not like the Islanders during this game. Exactly the kind of hockey I like. That's the hockey I like playing. So when I'm criticizing the Islanders for getting more chippy, it's as a fan, but as of the Hurricanes. But as a fan of hockey, I loved it. I love when hockey games get chippy. One of the things I wish Carolina did was thing. You know, they should have had a guy who would come in and just Darren McCarty, Matt Martin for that. He came in. He did, I don't think it was intent to injure a lot of people. He meant to lay a hit that was on the line and on the line on purpose. And I don't consider that a dirty play or an intent to injure. There's a difference. I would say what Michael Bunting did was intent to injure. What Matt Martin did wasn't back to the Carolina Hurricanes game as a whole. As the game goes on, the Islanders start to come back and they dominate. They're able to stretch passes, they're able to get open. Necas, I don't think particularly had a great game. Maybe not necessarily a bad game, but I don't think it was a great game. I mean, Necas has proven me wrong this season. I think he should be a member of the Carolinas core for years to come. He's just a guy that's going to have defensive breakdowns that annoy me as a fan, but he's more than proved his worth in offensive efforts. Now, can he continue to do that in the playoffs? That is a question, but for the regular season alone, I'm not going to say we should ever get rid of Necas for a long time, depending on the trade. Now, if Necas gets traded and we get Connor McDavid in exchange for it, then yeah, obviously trade. But that's not what I mean. So, and there were times where it looked like, especially during the end of the second, they were afraid to be getting hit and not really wanting to lay another hit. Hang on, my pets might want in my room. Doesn't look like it, but I'll leave it open. So yeah, one of them does one in here. So, but back to that game. So yeah, here they come. So, all right, come on. So back to the game as a whole, and then here comes the third. Just yeah, there you go. Test for the thumbnail, test for views, etc. So now let me get my ugly ass back in the frame. So as a result of that game, this is the routine to come into bed with me right now after the game. But in the third period they came back and then they blew a 2-goal lead at the end of two. They gave up 20 seconds left. I'm thinking, oh shit, here we go. This is not looking good. And then they score in the third period. They got the first goal of the third period and led by 3-2. And then I still think the Islanders for a long time continued to play better. The Hurricanes were out of it. The Islanders had a very good penalty kill. Actually, that was after the goal. But I'm going to call this the goal from now on because I have been vocal for his great defensive effort. My favorite player and the first non-Brind'Amour jersey I got when I decided to start collecting jerseys. And he's my second favorite player of all time. Defensive daddy, Jaccob Slavin, as I am thinking, oh shit, who is going to step up? Not who's going to step. Yeah, who's going to step up and score? Because this is a question Carolina had with Max Pacioretty and Andre Svechnikov both going down with an injury. Those are our top two scorers. They're both going down with an injury. You can't predict that. I get it. We got Patches for free. Patches looks like he's going to stay. Svechnikov, just a fluke ACL injury. It happens. Do I think we should have maybe traded for a Timo Meier or Vladimir Tarasenko? Absolutely. Did we? No, not much you can do about it anymore. But it turned out to be the best defensive defenseman in hockey. I will say that until he retires. He snipes one past him, and I'm not a religious person. I almost converted to Christianity. I'm not an atheist either. I don't want to get into religion, but I almost converted to Christianity just for Jaccob Slavin from that goal. That is going down as one of my favorite goals in Carolina history. If you're a fan of this team, you know full well Jaccob Slavin, or if you've been watching my videos, you know Jaccob Slavin is my favorite Carolina Hurricanes, second favorite player of all time. He gets the clutch tying goal, the most important goal of this very young playoff run. I love that man. And he does it again. He scores. He ties the game. Doesn't do it again because this isn't his role. He's a defensive defenseman, a beautiful defensive defenseman at that. And here he is scoring a crucial game tying goal, stepping up and being the one to show this team can score goals when they need to, because that's what they struggled with last year. So and not only that, he sniped it. He didn't get a fluke rebound. He didn't do a clapper from the point that got screened or something. He came in down low, scored from below the goal line. The goal line's here. He tucked it off the back of the goalie's head in the net. Fucking beautiful. I love that goal. I was jumping out of my seat, and Carolina had control of the game for the rest of that period. That, honestly, and I hate to say it, reminded me of this. It reminded me of the game I went to. I think it was game one, where the Rangers were outplaying Carolina. They could not solve Igor, and then they scored at the end of the third period, tying the game. And the momentum was just in Carolina for the rest of the game, and they won the game in overtime. Let's not talk about the rest of that series last year. But it reminded me of that. And Carolina comes in, and we got to talk about probably the most controversial win in Hurricanes history, honestly, in this 5-year run. Was it a high stick? Yes. But in my opinion, I've said this from the beginning, even when it's not been favored by Carolina, a blown call by the ref is a blown call. It was not going to be called. The ref missed it. Brock Nelson, I think it was the one who got high sticked. He came over to the ref, and Carolina followed through and scored and took advantage of the fact that he was far away after getting high stick. It was a high stick, however, and but he played through and the ref missed it. I mean, do I think there should be a challenge if a goal happens because of the penalty and the ref missed it? I think that should be a coach's challenge. I know a lot of people don't like coach's challenge, but in my opinion, that's one that I think is a very useful coach's challenge, so someone doesn't lose the game because of a penalty. But at the end of the day, Carolina wins. They go 2-0 at the end of the series, and that's what they wanted. Now, item of note, last year, Carolina, when they couldn't exactly script the matchups the way they wanted to, they failed to win every single game. Carolina needs to get the split on the road to show they can win on the road. You're not going to. Last year showed you're not going to be able to win every game in Game 7 just by making homestands. You have to win on the road to win the Stanley Cup. So, yeah, Carolina, and I predicted them to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the year. With the injuries that they've had, Patches and Svetch, I'd be thrilled if they just get out of the second round, understanding if they get eliminated in the second round. However, Carolina, I think they showed with this game that they can do it. They can win the Stanley Cup. Now, Teravainen broke his hand off a slash. I know Brendan Moore was pissed that it was a missed call. I look at the slash. Was it a penalty? Yes. However, in my opinion, refs miss slashes like that all the time. That's a standard slash that the NHL lets them get away with. Does it suck? Absolutely. Does it suck that there's another guy who can put the puck in the back of the net? Absolutely. So we'll see how that affects Carolina going forward. They got guys, I think, who could push to score. Maybe a Jesse Puljujarvi. We'll see. But that's it for this one. A lot of controversy. Hopefully, I covered it well to everyone's liking from the perspective of a Canes fan. If you guys like the content I'm producing on the channel, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, 2 down, 14 more to go.